Well, hello, everybody, and welcome into a special playoff edition of the Shelby County High School Football Pregame Show live on location. You've got Andrew, who's hit the road for our top 10 battle tonight between Vincent and Pisgah. You've got Tyler out at Thompson High School for a big showdown for the Thompson Warriors against Mary Montgomery. I'm out here at Briarwood Christian School. Another big matchup here, Briarwood. Matthew Forrester taking on former county coach and Dustin Goodwin. Briarwood Russellville is going to be a fun one. We've got Spain Park taking on Saraland on the road tonight in a big one, in Shelby County hosting Catholic Montgomery into the second round of the playoffs for the first time since 2008. Guys, we got a fun lineup of games to take place tonight. We're down to 5 teams left this season. Evangel's still going to be playing tomorrow in the 8-man national tournament, so great opportunity for the Lightning as well. They win last night. Cornerstone falls to Escambia last night. The Chargers see their season come to an end, and they fall short of another 8-man AISA state championship this year. But, guys, we're down to 5. We got 5 teams left in the AHSAA, and we're going to start with a bang with where Andrew is tonight. The Vincent Yellow Jackets taking on Pisgah in a big matchup here, top 10 battle. Both these teams playing some great football this season. Andrew, you've already showed Tyler and I the scoreboard, the video board that they've got down there at Pisgah, talking about the environment, talking about the stadium and the setup there. This is going to be a huge matchup between these two teams, and I think it could go any direction. We could see a blowout from one of these two teams, or we could see a slugfest that goes down to the wire. What's your expectation when you look at what you're going to get down there between Vincent and Pisgah?
Well, first off, I'll share the video with the class on Twitter once I get off of here, just because I know that'll prompt a bunch of questions. But, yeah, I expect a really good game either way. I'm of the mind where I think this is going to be a very close game between two very good teams. But like you said, both of these teams have the ability to bust it open. I think we saw last week with Vincent, they certainly have the capability to do that. If their defense continues to show up like it did last week, I'm not concerned about this team whatsoever. They'll at least have a chance to win in the end, especially if they're able to get that pass protection good like they were able to last week. 6 interceptions on that pass defense last week. I don't think they'll get quite that opportunity this week against Pisgah, especially when you consider that's been a struggle for Vincent through much of the season. But I do believe that they'll kind of find somewhere in the middle to get to that, and then they'll just continue to be the ball hawks that I've said they are all season long. But I do really think the key in this game is within the offense. We saw it in the pass game last week, was not able to get involved despite what the run game was able to do within the first half. This is a Pisgah defense that's extremely tough overall. They're allowing 20 points per game for the season against a really, really tough schedule. Their only losses are the Fife and Plainview. 2 very good teams, Fife up in Class 3A, Plainview a powerhouse in its own regard. So you definitely want to make sure that with this Vincent offense, you need to have all your weapons firing at all capacity. And I think that that's going to decide what this game ends up being, is if Vincent is able to get going through the air, kind of like what we saw towards the end of the season. I think that Montevallo game especially provided good potential for what they could be in this matchup. Yeah,
this is, 2 9-2 teams in this situation. Vincent, 8th ranked team in Class 2A. Pisgah, the number 3 team in Class 2A. They're both scoring points. They're both playing well defensively. Pisgah scoring 40 points per game. Vincent scoring 33. Vincent giving up 15.3 points per game. Pisgah giving up 20.4. So, Tyler, as I turn to you, I think Andrew and I are kind of on the same page that we think the offense tonight is going to have to score some points to win this game. But they've won with defense for the most part this season and then taking advantage of their ground attack. What do you think the difference is tonight? And ultimately, do you think Vincent can walk away with a historic win and getting into the quarterfinals, the 3rd round of the Class 2A playoffs?
You read my mind like a book. I think the defense is going to have to make plays. And it's going to be difficult, like Andrew said, to really match the performance where they had 6 interceptions last week in the first round. I think going up against the Pisgah team on the road, you've had a long trip up north there near the Alabama-Tennessee border. That's going to be a difficult challenge to battle fatigue all the way up there and then keep your mind straight for all 4 quarters. I think that's going to be the difference if Vincent can create a bunch of turnovers and as a result of that, going, executing the run and pass game on the offensive side. I just think the key to this game is Vincent's going to win his turnovers. However, I think this Pisgah team right now they're playing some of their best football this year, and they're playing some of their best football here towards the end of the season. I think Pisgah pulls out a close one. I'm the only one on the staff who's picked Pisgah to win, but I think Pisgah ultimately outlasts them because they're going to be sound with the football and not turn it over to Vincent as much as the Yellow Jackets forced it last week.
Yeah, I think you look at this matchup, and we've got a Vincent team that's won 5 in a row. You got a Pisgah team that's won 7 in a row. Both these teams playing some great football right now. I expect that we're going to see a classic showdown. Andrew and I kind of talked about earlier in the week that the big thing is it just feels like Vincent's year. Lucas Weatherford becoming the winningest coach. Just feels like they're on this special trajectory and things are just kind of aligning for them. And I expect that we have a feeling. I just think it's aligning for the Vincent Yellow Jackets tonight. It's going to be a hard-fought game, not one that I think is going to be easy for either of these teams. I think both defenses come out, put together a strong performance, and we see a close, tight showdown in this matchup. And Vincent showed they could finish strong this year. We'll see if that continues tonight. This could be one of the best games of the night when you look up across the state and all classifications in the playoffs. So huge opportunity for the Vincent Yellow Jackets. And this year, I don't feel like they succumb to the pressure either. I feel like this is a team that is built for this moment. They want to prove the doubters wrong. They're not going to fall under that pressure this year. I think the Yellow Jackets have a great opportunity tonight there going on the road to take on Pisgah. Takes us to another great storyline. The Shelby County Wildcats taking on Catholic Montgomery tonight. They get to not only host a playoff game, they're in the second round of the playoffs for the first time since 2008. Huge opportunity, great growth from this program and head coach Zeb Ellison. But you also look beyond that at what this team's done throughout the year. The defense getting better as the season's gone along. The balance by which they played with on the offensive side. Ryan Sipes at the quarterback position being able to throw the football down the field. Still able to run the football with that physical approach. So, guys, when we look at this matchup between Shelby County and Catholic Montgomery, Andrew, I'll start with you. This is a game where it probably feels like Catholic is the better team in this matchup, but Shelby County is playing their best football arguably in years right now at this point in the season. Last week was very impressive to me in what they did against Valley, closing that game out. Do you see this Shelby County team competing tonight, one? And if so, do you see them walking away with the win, a possible upset there at the end of the night against Catholic Montgomery?
I genuinely think they're going to compete in this matchup. I think they just, for one, they have all the momentum and they're playing in front of their home fans. I was there in Columbiana last year when they faced Citronelle.
Yeah.
And that was easily one of the best playoff atmospheres I've ever been in. This community will be loud and they will be behind their Shelby County Wildcats, pushing them to a victory against the defending state champions. But will be a tough matchup. Like you said, it's probably going to require a whole lot of things to go right on both sides of the ball. I'm a little bit concerned about what defense is going to be able to do against an offense like Catholic Montgomery's. But the key to me is overall just breaking through this Knights defense. They're allowing 18.2 points per game, but 17 or less in half of those games. I think that Shelby County is able to compete within this matchup and able to get something going on the ground. I think the ground game especially has been trending in a very good direction the last few weeks, and we've seen some good stuff happen from both the run game and the pass game as well to mix some things up. I don't know. Montgomery Catholic just feels like it's a step above within this matchup right now, athletically and with what experience they have within the playoffs. But I really do think this is going to be an extremely close game, and I would not be surprised at the end of the night if Shelby County goes out and gets a victory. And what a storyline that would be if it does happen.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. The way they played last week, is otherwise I wouldn't have as much faith. Obviously, they had to do that to get to this point, but the way you close out a game against a really good team in Valley and the opportunity they had to pick up that win, and now getting in this historic situation of making it to the second round for the first time in almost 20 years, which is unbelievable. And this team's just clicking at a different level. You could sense the confidence from Sipes when he joined Tyler on the red zone this week. Same from Coach Ellison and the growth this program's had as a whole. It's a different mindset right now and the expectation they have, and I think that's what gives them hope in a matchup like this, similar to what we just talked about with Vincent a few minutes ago. So, Tyler, when I turn to you, the one thing I want to leave you with as you take over here, this is a defense in Shelby County that in their winning streak right now, they've given up 23, 7, 14, and 21 in the last 4 games. The defense has played consistent in that stretch, and they're taking on a Catholic team that's scoring 30 points per game. Good, not great. Same for Shelby County's offense, scoring 28.7 points per game. Good, not great. But this is a defense in Shelby County that's playing its best football of the season, going up against a Catholic defense that's been consistent all year long. What do you expect from a defensive standpoint? Do you expect this to be a lower scoring game, which I think is what Shelby County wants? Or, to me, the big difference, I think, is that Catholic's offense is just slightly ahead of Shelby County's, and I think that makes the difference. But what are your thoughts from that standpoint, Tyler?
Well, I think where it stands right now is that it is going to be a battle of the gutsy defenses. I think you're looking at a game where it could be, in the 20s, 28, 21, 21 going into the fourth quarter. And at that point, it's all about who can step up in the key moments. I feel like right now, this is Cooper Pennington's game to lead if you're Shelby County.
It's a good name. Good guy to have leading you, too.
This is Cooper Pennington's game to lead. This is Cooper Pennington's game to star in. And it's his to, call out Montgomery Catholic. I think Montgomery Catholic's offense is a little bit of a step above, but I think this game is going to be close. That being said, I do think Catholic's going to come out on top, unfortunately. But like Andrew said, and I want to point this out, when I stepped on the field to go do red zone shooting this week, it was empty, middle of the week, but it felt like a movie scene there. And it just felt like it's all set up for some Friday Night Lights. And this is going to be a historic matchup. I think this place is going to be loud. I think it's going to be rowdy. I think Montgomery Catholic handles it in the fourth quarter, but it is going to be a fun one to watch, guys, nonetheless. I would not be shocked at all if County pulls out one close like they did against Valley last week.
Yeah, and in editing together the red zone this week, Tyler, it was very obvious, not necessarily the confidence. I think they've got the confidence, but just how proud they are and that they're going to go out in this game, in this situation, and give it everything they have. And like I told Andrew earlier this week, they're playing with house money. This is a team that, sure, they expected to be in the playoffs. Maybe they expected to make a little bit of a run. But against a team like Valley last week to do what you did and now have an opportunity this week against a very athletic group in Catholic Montgomery, you believe that you can compete in those games, whereas at the beginning of the season, you may not have actually thought that. So the way that it's mapped out for them and now they believe in that is what stands out. To me, I mentioned the offensive side and how I think Catholic's got just a little bit of an edge there. I think ultimately that makes the difference in the game. But I think the key in how close this game is all about the first quarter and really probably the first half. Shelby County, if they fall into an early hole, if they lose some momentum early in this game, how do they respond? That determines whether they're in this game in the second half. If Catholic comes out and goes up 10-0, 14-0, does Shelby County roll over and say, oh, no, the pressure's on now, we got to come back? Or do they continue to punch them in the mouth and keep fighting the rest of the half and try to come back and make it a one-score game going into the half? I think how they respond to some adversity early in this game tonight is going to be key to how this game finishes. And if they have a chance in the second half, there's a very good shot that they win this football game because these are two level teams, and I think Shelby County's a far improved team from where they were at the beginning of the year and a team that can compete with a team like this in the second round of the playoffs. So we'll see how that one unfolds. Huge opportunity, just great for that community. You could sense it all week. We saw it on Facebook with the traction, but that community is pumped up to have that opportunity tonight. The parents are proud of the players. Whatever happens tonight, to get this opportunity for them, really cool for the Wildcats. Being in the second round of the playoffs for the first time in since 2008, 17 years there. So great opportunity for the Wildcats tonight. Well, that takes us to the game right here at Briarwood Christian School. This is going to be a huge matchup for both of these teams. The Lions welcome Russellville, former Chelsea coach Dustin Goodwin, to town. This is going to be a matchup in which you look on paper, you really don't know which way it's going to go. Russellville won in crazy fashion last week over Boaz, a comeback game. They took the lead. Boaz tied it at the buzzer. They went into overtime. Boaz scores first. Russellville answers, goes for two, converts the two-point conversion. One of the wildest playoff games you'll ever see. One of the best playoff games I can remember just seeing the details from in my 10 years doing this. And now they've got to somehow refocus from that situation and come in here and play a Briarwood team. They got their butts whipped against McAdory to close the season and now realizes what they need to do to win football games. And they were a laser-focused team, played their best game of the season last week against Leeds in that victory in the first round. So tonight, I think anything can happen. I think all bets are on the board here. Tyler, I'll start with you on this one. Briarwood leads. You've seen Briarwood over Leeds last week. You had seen both of those teams play earlier in the season. You had seen them a couple of times this year, and you see how Briarwood responded in that situation, how they played in that game. When you look at this game against Russellville, a very talented team, maybe a little bit more physical, a little healthier than what we see from Leeds. What are your thoughts on this game, and can Briarwood walk away with the win tonight?
I think it's going to be a chess match. I think it's who can play their cards right throughout this game. I don't think anybody's going to run away with this game by any stretch of the imagination. I think it's all about strategic. I think they're going to throw some punches in the first quarter. I think these guys are going to be feeling each other out throughout the first half, and then it's not going to be until the second half until we see some explosive offense start to come out of both of these teams. You look at this game, and Briarwood, like you said, Alec, played their best football of the season last week against Leeds at home in that first-round victory. Russellville also has to come out and play again after trying to top that win last week. How do you do that? I think both of these teams got to come out and top something that you might think is impossible after what happened last week from both sides. I do think where Briarwood's at right now is a little bit inconsistent, but so is Russellville. And, toss-up points where I got Russellville very close. They pulled away in the end. But I think it's a great duel and great fight. I think neither of these teams will have something to be disappointed about when the clock hits 0-0.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a very tight battle. Briarwood's key difference maker to me is going to be Sam Canale and getting the ball to him in space. So, Andrew, we've seen him kind of step up down the stretch. What do you expect from the Lions tonight? Do they walk away with the win against Russellville?
Well, I think what gives Briarwood its advantage with this matchup is its defense. Obviously, Briarwood loves to play tight defense. You've heard it ad nauseum for the last however many years all of us have been covering Briarwood, but they haven't quite been themselves this year. It's been a group that hasn't quite gotten it together on big explosive plays, given those up throughout the season. And there've really only been like a couple of games throughout the year. I look back at the Ramsey game earlier in the year where they were really able to neutralize teams and win the line of scrimmage. Last week was one of those games. Briarwood just absolutely took the fight to Leeds. An offense that absolutely frustrated it in mid-season. Just came back, looked at the film, made adjustments, and put together their best performance of the season. I think that, well, yes, some of that does come down to a matchup-specific opponent, and Russellville is a very, very battle-tested team, so they're going to put up more of a fight than I think Leeds will. But I still really like Briarwood's defense with this matchup. I think when you have momentum like that with this team, and when you have everything getting put together on that side of the field, it really does make a difference in playoff games like this. And especially with the home crowd backing you, I think that Briarwood's going to have a path to a pretty solid win tonight over Russellville.
And this is the time of year where you want matchups where you don't really know what's going to happen. That's how I feel about this game. It's how I feel about Vincent Pisgah. It's how I feel about a lot of games tonight. There's a couple that we'll talk about in just a second I feel a little bit more comfortable with. But this is one of those games where, it literally is going to be determined by who comes out and starts fast, sets the tone for this game. And you kind of talked about it a little bit there, Andrew. The way that Briarwood played last week on the defensive side of the football, you could tell they had an edge to them. I'm doing video on the sideline and running back and forth and trying to get some of those clips. That's as pumped up as they've been this season. And it's a team that I think carries that into this matchup. I saw Russellville walking out here. I know what they've done this year. Very talented team. They're going to be more physical than what Briarwood saw last week. They're going to be a tough defensive matchup. And that's the biggest question for Briarwood. Can you get the ball out in space? Can you get that ground game going in the right direction there? If they can do that tonight, I think the defense is going to do plenty to win this football game. The offense is going to have to come out and hit those explosive plays and then punch with the ground game there in the second half, which is what they want to do. So it's just a matter of doing it now. We'll see if they can make that happen. Regardless, I do think the defense is at a point now where they can rely on that side of the ball to keep them in the game. The offense is at a point where it can make the plays in a game like that to make the difference. So we'll see how that one unfolds at the end of the night right here. I have all your updates on X throughout the night, video after the game, story and photos after the game as well. But that takes us to another top 10 battle. Spain Park hits the road, second year in a row, one round earlier this year. They take on Saraland tonight. Huge opportunity for the Jags because if they win this one, I said it to Andrew earlier in the week, guys, they win this one, the winner of this game, I think, is in the state championship in 6A this year. The path ahead after this, the next toughest matchup would be Clay Chalkville. Let's go ahead and be real. Most likely in the state championship there in the 6A classification. So this is a huge matchup, and if Spain Park can win this one, still got to win the rest of them. But that puts you in a great position to battle for a spot in the state championship this year, but it ain't going to come easy. Clay Chalkville and Saraland, 1A, 1B, everybody else fighting for spots behind that just to try to get the opportunities to play them. Spain Park has that opportunity tonight, but this is a Saraland team that's undefeated on the season right now, playing great football. They opened the playoffs with a 49-24 win over Wetumpka. Defense gave up some points, something to look at there. But overall, this is a Saraland team that's just playing lights out this year. The defense giving up 8.5 points per game. So I talk about how they just gave up 24 in the opening round. Does that carry over this week? We'll see. But consistency-wise, this team, 41.5 points per game, giving up 8.5 points per game. They've been so dominant this season. I throw into the mix here, Andrew, as I turn it to you. Spain Park's defense is the best it's been in ages. They're giving up 14.1 points per game. They've been consistent, too. Last year, 45-19 loss in this game. I imagine that's been posted all over the locker room, all over the weight room this week. This defense can't come out and give up 45 points tonight. They know it. Does the defense do enough to allow Brock Bradley and these offensive weapons to put together a game plan and plays that are going to allow them to win this game tonight?
They cannot start slow, and if they don't, then it's game over from the first 5 minutes of the match. Because I was at this matchup last year, and I saw just how explosive Saraland was. That was a year where everybody was like, without Ryan Williams, what are they going to do? And KJ Lacey was still fine, went on to win Mr. Football once again, and then just continued to keep that pass game rolling with a little bit of help on the ground game as well. And this year, it's been, okay, now that KJ Lacey's gone, what are you going to do on offense for Saraland? And now Jamison Roberts is probably one of the best junior quarterbacks in the state, not named Trent Seaborn. This Saraland offense has tools and weapons for days. They're really good at what they do, and they're really good at getting down the field and scoring points. It's just a matter of if if Spain Park is able to match that consistently throughout the game. And we saw last week something that gives me a little bit of concern, in that Spain Park started extremely slow against the McAdory team that, while it's a step below Saraland, they have about as much explosive play potential as Saraland.
Yeah, it's a good team.
And so you can't replicate that in this matchup against Saraland. Otherwise, it could end up being worse, a hole that you can't climb out of. Because I will give a lot of credit to Spain Park for putting on its grittiest performance in, frankly, ages to get over the line there. But you've got to take that as a lesson and then attack this week knowing that you need to play the entire minutes of the game with the same intensity. It sounds like a really tough task for me, which is why I'm not picking them within this matchup. But I think that they'll be improved within this matchup now that they know a little bit more of what to expect and that they have that test against a team like McAdory underneath their belt.
Well, Tyler, let's go straight to you. I'm going to do the national anthem here at Briarwood, but Andrew made some great points there. Build off of that and tell us your expectation for this big game for the Spain Park Jaguars. Last week, an early 2-touchdown hole that they had to fight out of. Can they do that? No, they can't. I'll go ahead and answer that for you. But do they do everything early in this game to set themselves up for success down the line to possibly pull off the win?
Well, to be frank with you guys, I think 80 to 85% of people who follow Spain Park are feeling bad for them right now. 2 years in a row, you got to go down south and play Saraland. That is a death sentence in itself. But if you look at who Tim Vakakis is and you look at who his players are, they don't want people to feel sorry for them. They've been going by the motto all year that they're playing a faceless opponent. This is all the things you need to stack up a huge upset on the road down south. My problem is that Saraland's team is just straight up more powerful than Spain Park. I think their talent level is just up there. I love Spain Park. I've got all the respect in the world for them to put up a tough fight and do everything they can to battle and win this game. But Saraland's just the more powerful team. They've got the more potential and they've got the ability to win this game on both sides of the ball. I just think it's going to be too much, and Saraland's going to come out on top in this one.
Yeah, I agree. I think what worries me, McAdory's a good football team, and I think a lot of people may have been surprised by that deficit last week. I was not surprised. I thought that was going to be a tough game. Ultimately, from that point forward, they scored 24 unanswered, and they dominated the rest of the way. They've got to come out with that dominant mentality tonight. I do think they play improved. I do think they start better. But this Saraland team is, like I said, 1A, 1B when it comes to Clay Chalkville and Saraland. Such a good football team, been consistent all year. If Spain Park wins this game, it's because they get off to the start McAdory got off to last week, and they allow their defense to have a little bit of breathing room early in this football game. So we'll see. The Spain Park offense is balanced. They've got a run game. They've got 2-3 receivers they can get the ball to, and they've got arguably one of the top 2, 3, 4 quarterbacks in the state right now. They've got a chance, but they got to start fast. So we'll see how it unfolds. Good opportunity for the Jags tonight to send some shockwaves across the state of Alabama as to who a new contender could be for the 6A state championship. All right, well, let's shift on. Final game of the night, Thompson Warriors. They take on Mary Montgomery right there at Tyler's home site there with the Warriors. Somebody's got the background noise back, so I'll just point that out. But anyways, let's jump in. Tyler, I'm going to start with you. You're out there. How's the atmosphere building up? Thompson going into this game, great opportunity to get better. They're the better team on paper. So this is a huge night for them to really show what they can do. But obviously they can't get caught looking ahead to the next round in the semifinals and 7A playoffs. We know what lies ahead next week, most likely a matchup with Central Phoenix City in what is typically a state championship level matchup. So, Tyler, what do you look at in this matchup tonight? Does Thompson walk away with the win?
Well, can I start off by saying this is my 4th time here this season, guys? I've already unpacked my bags. I've put my stuff in the bedroom.
That's why I said your home turf now. No more Goom Squad.
Well, here's the problem, guys. I'm gonna have to go pay rent to Mark Freeman at the end of this game. I mean, he's gonna be mad if I don't.
Hey, I think he'll take that cash and put it to good use.
Yeah, but guys, I mean, you see what happened with this Thompson team last week, and they just came out and played flat-out ball. I mean, their defense went out and put as good as a performance as they have all season long. They went out and handled a Carver Montgomery team that is very talented. But now you face a Mary G. Montgomery team who is also very talented. My issue is right now for Mary Montgomery, they have not seen speed like this all season long. They got some big dudes over there. As I saw during the pregame, but the speed is going to really hurt them. I think that's where Thompson excels. I think that's where this defense is going to be really stout. This defensive front is going to get in the backfield all night. I think the defense plays exactly like they did last week. The energy's high here. They're looking to go win another state championship. It's the final game here of the season in Warrior Stadium because no matter what, if they win, they're going on the road. I just think the cards add up for Thompson. I think Mark Freeman's the greatest coach in the state when it comes to the playoffs. Guys, it's too much. I think Thompson goes out there, and while I think it's going to be very close, like I said in the predictions, this is going to be Thompson's game to lose. And I think the Warriors go out there and put on a show tonight.
Yeah, this is the big thing for me. Thompson's offense just hasn't been quite what we expected this year. They've been good. They just hadn't reached that new level yet. It's a team that's scored 34 or less in 6 games this season. That's not bad. But this is a team in Thompson where we're used to seeing 40-plus points in the majority of their games. And that just shows, I think, the depth of 7A Region 3, 1. But 2, that this team just hasn't quite reached that next level yet. Could that come tonight? It certainly could. Could that come next week? That's typically when it happens, is against their best opponents deep in the playoffs. So we'll see when it all kind of clicks for the offense. But the defense is in a situation where they've done enough to have this team undefeated right now, aside from that Hoover game. That's the one game that really sticks out. The defense has done enough overall. It's been inconsistent. It's not been to my level expectation for the Warriors, but they've been good enough on that side. The offense has also been good enough a lot of the season. So in this matchup, it feels like you got a Mary Montgomery team that's sitting at 10-1. They're playing good on both sides of the football, giving up just 14.3 points per game. But, Andrew, I think we all can admit the schedule's been a little bit easier. They've lost a game this season, 43-28 to Baker. Thompson's much better than Baker. What gives in this game? Does Thompson coast to this one, or is it going to be another one where they're kind of struggling at halftime and then they kind of pull away a little bit in the second half?
I think it could probably be the latter. I do think that Mary Montgomery is going to have its moments, and I think they could especially use some of the early momentum in this game. I think they're going to give Thompson its best shot in this one, mainly because I think they want to prove to the world that they aren't the team that you should overlook. And we saw last year this team get crushed by Vestavia Hills on its own home turf to start the playoffs. I think they still kind of have that result in the back of their mind because everybody's just been telling them all season long, Region 1 is not quite Region 3. But I do agree with Tyler. I think that overall this Thompson team is just a step above where Mary Montgomery has been. They've faced the more difficult opponents. They've looked overall better, I think, this season, despite some shaky performances at times. But if the defense shows up like it did last week, they're not going to have any problems with this matchup. You heard Freeman say after the game that third down defense is where this team plays its best football overall in terms of complete games. We saw that when the scoreline came up against Carver Montgomery. They were able to do just that. I don't think it's going to be quite that against Mary Montgomery, but I think they have a consistently good night on defense, and then they're able to do what they need to on offense to get themselves back in the semifinals.
I agree. I think the defense is going to come out and play well. I keep calling for it every week, too, that this offense is going to play its best game of the season. They haven't reached their full potential yet as a team. At some point, they're going to do that. I'm going to keep saying it's going to happen every week until it actually does. So I think tonight this team plays its best and most complete performance as a team this season. I think they go out there, they manage things well offensively. Last week kind of messed around a little bit there in the first half. That was a little bit closer of a game than it should have been. Pulled away after that. I think tonight they come out, they're all gassed from the start. I think this offense is going to have a big night. I think the defense is going to be as dominant as it's been this season. This could turn into a close game if they mess around early. But Thompson's the better team, and at some point they just got to go out there. That old school Alabama mentality, teams are kind of scared of you because you've done so well. You are the physical team. You do have the best players. They've got to go out and play with that mentality tonight, and I think that's what they ultimately end up doing. And as Tyler said, Mark Freeman in the postseason, the Thompson Warriors in the postseason, with a good defense, with a good quarterback, great track record there. They've been in the semifinals for a long stretch of time now. I don't expect that to change this year. I expect the Thompson Warriors to roll back to the Class 7A semifinals. Largely expect a matchup against Central Phoenix City, which could be very, very interesting for a spot in the 7A state championship. But we'll see after tonight if that aligns and if we're previewing a semifinal matchup there next week. Hopefully we're previewing quarterfinal matchups for the rest of our teams in action tonight. It's a busy night. It's a fun night. Vincent and Shelby County looking to continue some special runs. Spain Park looking for the big upset of Saraland. Briarwood looking to continue to play their best football here against Russellville. And Thompson looking for another trip to the 7A semifinals. It's loaded, full of plenty of storylines. We're going to bring you all the action tonight. Make sure you're following Andrew and Tyler on X. They'll have all your updates. Daniel Locke also going to have some updates. We've got our whole team going across the board tonight, so follow along. Story, photos, video, everything you need after the games tonight. We'll have it all for you. Thanks to our sponsors, Wayne's Pest Control, 3D Air Services, Montebello Main Street, and Oak Mountain Hearing for all their support this season in bringing us the Shelby County Pregame Show. That's going to do it from Briarwood, Thompson, and Pisgah. The Yellow Jackets looking for some school history. We'll see if it happens. Thank you all for tuning in. Enjoy your playoff football Friday night.